Acura's MDX is mighty important to the brand. The first premium crossover to get 3 rows of seating, it's now considered the brand's flagship, maybe because you can't get 7 people into an NSX. With Generation 4, Acura is clearly defending its turf. It's built on an all-new light truck architecture that the brand says ups body rigidity by an impressive 32%. Prices start at around $48,000 for a base front drive model. Acura has dropped off a top trim advanced model in liquid carbon metallic with super handling all-wheel drive. It goes for just over $62,000, which is not inexpensive, but a good value in class. There must be a lot of people with a lot of money because there are a lot of choices when it comes to the luxury 3-row segment. Audi Q7, BMW X5 and X7, Cadillac XT6, the long wheelbase version of the Lexus RX, Volvo XC90, just to name some. Acura says this is the most popular of all of them historically, moving over 1 million copies. And even though it's popular, you should really test drive because, come on, if all your friends jumped off a cliff, would you? Do I sound like your parents yet? They'd tell you to look at the Genesis GV80 too, and fund your retirement as soon as possible. But back to the MDX. It's larger in size now, but sensibly so, adding 2.2 inches in length and 1 in width. The longer hood gives it a new proportional sense, but it doesn't stray too far from Gen 3's design. It won't look completely foreign to the MDX faithful. The precision cockpit gauge cluster is now configurable. If you're the kind that likes analog gauges, well, those are going away, folks. MDX has the same usefulness, and maybe even a little bit more. It's easy to get the mid-row out of the way and into the way back. Let's see if I can do this gracefully. Acura says there's 0.6 inches of extra headroom now in the 2022 models. I'm 5'9". I have just enough, wouldn't want to hit any big bumps. Now, 2 adults won't want to spend an awful lot of time back here. There is an extra 2.5 inches of legroom, but the cushions are low, so my knees are high. Thigh support isn't all that great. Good for short trips, I suppose. That's for the kids. This is for the parents. Power comes from a revised 3.5-liter naturally aspirated V6 that delivers 290 horsepower and 267 pound-feet of torque, along with some great interior sound design and graphics. The engine doesn't sound half bad either. There's an extra cog now for a total of 10 speeds from the in-house designed gearbox. Acura puts a premium on performance, so there are these, plus drive modes that really do make a difference. And notice there isn't an off-road setting? That's not the MDX's thing. The 4th generation super handling all-wheel drive is the same as TLX. It can send 70% of torque to the rear and then all of that hard left or right. If you have a need for speed, there will be a twin-turbocharged Type S version of the MDX, but this one, not too bad, 0 to 60 in about 6.5 seconds. And gotta say, love the sound of the V6 engine. I understand that turbocharged 4s and hybrids are the future. They sure don't sound very good. There are larger brakes for better cooling, with an electric booster replacing a vacuum unit. Acura says stopping at 30 miles an hour is shorter by 12 feet, which could mean keeping your insurance good driver discount rate. Doesn't hurt when towing either, up to 5,000 pounds. When it comes to comfort, MDX delivers, and yet it's sporty. It's a great overall dynamic, and it's also quiet. One reason, there are 2 resonators inside each of the 20-inch alloy wheels to tamp down tire cavity noise. No doubt about it, MDX is a pretty big rig, but chuck it hard into a corner, and it's really compelling. Very surprising for a vehicle this large. It kind of handles like a vehicle one size smaller than it is. Generation 4 MDX adds a double wishbone front suspension mounted on a new rigid subframe. Good stuff like an improved rear multi-link suspension and variable ratio steering improves the driving experience too. Now, it's no NSX, and chances are people aren't buying this for neighborhood gymkhana sessions, but I always consider good handling a safety issue, and same goes for all-wheel drive.
So you do know how super handling all-wheel drive works, right? What it does is it overspins the rear outer wheel in a corner. It's sort of like when you have a coffee cup and you lay it on a table and push it, it naturally curves. That's it. Not gonna do it with this. Full of coffee. Bad idea.
How much this system improves handling, well, I can't tell you. I haven't driven a front drive MDX. There are no adaptive dampers. There's always a little sport firmness to the ride.
So many vehicles have automatic engine stop-start systems. It's really important to pay attention to those on your test drive. This one is fine when stopping. Take your foot off the brake or turn the steering wheel pretty smooth and can be turned off. Even with the stop-start system, the fuel economy of the MDX is really not all that great. The EPA rates the average at 21 miles per gallon, and I'm seeing a little bit less than that. But, you know, this is a big vehicle. What do you expect?
To the expected active electronic safety tech, like automatic emergency braking with pedestrian detection and adaptive cruise, MDX adds traffic jam assist and a driver attention monitor. It's a solid suite of tech assist to help the driver out.
The 10-speed is really well calibrated, the kind of gearbox that you just don't notice. In manual mode, shifts are not dual clutch fast, but they're perfectly fine.
Acura is finally embracing the concept of being a premium player when it comes to its interiors, and not just a nicer Honda. It isn't at the Mercedes level, but it's a good start. Materials satisfy the eyes and the fingers. There's stitching everywhere you look, even where you might not. The open-pore wood is lovely. Piano black surfaces look more Steinway, less Roland digital keyboard. Door pockets are well finished, but not lined with mouse fur. The positive is no mice were harmed, I suppose. I like that there's a separate level here for small things that would end up down at the bottom of the main console storage.
Acura's user interface is a little controversial. It's called the True Touchpad interface, and true to its name, it is in no way, shape, or form a touchscreen, even though it is fairly easy to reach. Everything is done here on this trackpad, which is quite different from the one that Lexus uses. You don't slide around trying to find the cursor's position. It's very specific. For example, each corner on the trackpad corresponds to that corner on the screen. The icons are arrangeable. You can put them in the most convenient spots for you. The concave surface helps guide fingers to the right place. Shortcut buttons are above the pad. Also, there are hard buttons above, so wading into the interface isn't always needed. It's easy to split the screen and use the thinner pad to control that. There's handwriting and voice recognition too. No doubt it takes some time to learn True Touchpad, but it's not bad once you get the hang of it. What I don't like is when you're using Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. Both of those are wireless, by the way. It's much easier to use those with a touch screen. The trackpad, that gets a little wonky here. When buying a vehicle, it's really important to thoroughly check out the user interface to see if it works for you, much the way that you would test drive a car. There's a lot of personal preference when it comes to these. And if you're going to buy the MDX, let me make a suggestion. Don't pass on the ELS Studio 3D sound system. It's one of the best I've heard in any vehicle, regardless of price. And I'm really picky about my audio.
There are USB ports, but chances are you won't use them because of wireless charging. As for the advanced package seats, they're heated and vented with adjustable thigh and side bolsters. Type S models will get a massage feature if you simply must have that. And Acura is up the game when it comes to its ambient lighting. This is hard to capture on camera. Starting at the technology package level, it's not quite as good as Mercedes and BMW, but close. It's immersive and will lull you into driving at night more often. In row number 2, there's seating for 3, and the outboard positions slide fore and aft to show some love to those in row 3. You want power? You got it. Sunshades? You bet. The middle section becomes an armrest of sorts for people, and it's fairly easy to remove if for some reason you just don't want it along for the ride. All that plus a separate climate zone and bun warmers that Wisconsinites will appreciate in January.
I've said it over and over, and I'm going to say it again. 3-row crossovers and SUVs don't typically have an awful lot of room behind the back row. Vans are more useful. I'm just the messenger. And even though space is up by about 1.5 cubic feet to 18 here, there's only room for 4 packs, about the same as a Kia Soul.
And there are these things which always make life easier. The floor is dual level, so you have a place to hide things away, and nice that the reversible panel doesn't need to be left in the garage. It's always available for use. Row 3 is very easy to drop and raise. That's good because a powered option is not available. And with all of the seats lowered, the surface is as flat as a punchline delivered by Bob Newhart with 71.4 cubic feet to fill. Many families will run the MDX with row 3 down, and that offers up around 48 cubic feet of space. That translates into an easy 12 bundles of softness and absorbency, which is about half of what gets packed into a Toyota Sienna van. Just saying.
Finally, a simple but clever feature, a walk away button. Push it, and you've got like 30 seconds to unload, and then the tailgate closes and everything locks up. You do need to walk away from the car, otherwise the sensors detect that you're still here. So let me get out of the way. I've left the TP in to show you that I'm a professional and that I didn't overload it.
As for styling, MDX has never shouted its status, and that stays the same. The new proportions give it more of a rear drive look. There are small, subtle strafes that emerge in different lighting. It doesn't telegraph the Ranger Rick outdoorsy message. The subtle lines are on task for Acura. I always appreciate when the wiper is tucked under here to tidy things up, and from some angles the hood seam gets uneven and clumsy, at least on this one, but the new sheet metal does carry MDX forward. That brings me to red light, green light. As always, starting with green light, MDX has the right size and utility for families that want space without aircraft carrier SUV bulk. Nice to see Acura elevating the interior design, warning sounds, and materials to the proper luxury level. And I'm big on the comfortable but agile driving dynamics. This is a poised machine. Yellow lights? Yes, there's a third row with more room. Adults still won't like it. That's not uncommon. Not that it needs it, but there's no option for adaptive dampers. Luxury always offers choice. And true, Acura has upped its luxury game, but wouldn't it be cool to see the brand go full-on sumptuous? Red light. There's the fuel economy. It's not so great, and I asked, Acura is not talking about a hybrid model, at least not yet. The hood seam, it catches my eye every time I walk up to it. And finally, the precision trackpad, which I generally like, might drive away people that don't give it a chance, and it doesn't play well with Android or CarPlay. There's a reason why Acura has moved over 1 million MDXs, and the all-new 2022 model clearly gives buyers more to like.
Yeah, there is a lot of competition in this segment, especially with the new Genesis GV80, but the MDX should definitely be on your test drive list.
None of the offerings from Audi, BMW, Cadillac, Lexus, Infiniti, Lincoln, Mercedes, or Volvo are inexpensive. At $62,000, fully loaded, there's value here. Buying in the premium segment, well, it pays to spend the time and effort to look closely. With Acura upping its game, MDX makes choosing between all of the competitors a little bit tougher. As always, a shout out to Martin Campbell, who drives while I shoot running footage. He gets up early on the weekend to do this nearly every week, and I buy him coffee. That's about it. I got him an air fryer too, but still.
Of course, I can't leave without saying people test drive at least 3 different vehicles so you know that the one that you get is right for you. And I have a price quote service. Use mine, use somebody else's, but get real world pricing, okay? Because MSRP means nothing.
There's some research that shows some 20% of car buyers now don't even test drive, which is mind-boggling to me. Not everybody is an enthusiast, I get that, but wow, a vehicle is an extremely personal decision and not cheap.
You've come to the end of the video where I normally offer up a fun fact, this time a little bit of a personal anecdote. I've always felt like the MDX has been a competitive vehicle and well worth a test drive. I have a little bit of a soft spot in my heart for it because years ago at the launch of the third generation, I got a phone call out of the blue and this woman was saying, "Hey, love your car review videos, we'd like to license them." I'm like, yeah, maybe. Who do you work for? And she started to go on and on about how it would work and all that kind of stuff. And I said, yeah, that's great, but who do you work for? And she said, oh, the New York Times. I mean, this was literally out of the blue. Every journalist I know would love to work for the New York Times. And I had a great time. Did a video series for them for 4 years, and I still do articles. So you should subscribe to this channel. You get New York Times quality for free. You don't have to pay for a subscription. So it's a great deal for you. Maybe not so great for me, but good for you. Thanks for watching. That's Driven. I'm Tom Voelk. I've tried to capture the entrance sound and I have had no luck. It's always outsmarted me. Let's try it this time. What? Forget it. Just forget it. I like the way it rings out. It doesn't truncate. Usually they just kind of burp. But this one rings out very nicely. There you go. I'm very tenacious.